Bring it up. All right. Woo-hoo. Have some fun. Here we go, y'all. Listen up. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 86 for Tuesday, February 21st, 2017. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, joined in the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Did you say 86?
86.
I don't even know if I can count that high.
Well, hopefully we don't get 86.
I damn sure don't have enough fingers and toes for that.
I'll tell you what, man. 14 away from 100. How about that?
Shut up.
And here's something crazy. Here's something crazy that you told me that I did not realize. How long has it been since we have gone solo?
I can tell you the episode number if you can tell us how long it's been.
It's been almost 4 months. What an
PTM
off-season.
71
Yeah.
was the last time we
Seems
did not
forever ago.
have a guest.
Seems forever ago.
And we did not that's almost accidental in a lot of ways. And I had no idea it had been since October.
Yeah.
So how about that?
Yeah. How much fun has the off-season been?
And by the way, y'all, just
everybody that's been coming on.
Yeah, just to interrupt Rusty here. We didn't have a guest this week, not because we couldn't get one. It's because we got a really neat announcement for y'all.
Yeah, we do.
And we didn't want to have a guest have to coaxially be tied into us doing what we're doing.
Right.
And kind of be, we didn't want to eliminate all conflict of interest if there ever was one.
Right. So, going into the announcement, what you drinking on, Sherwin?
Oh, well, anybody that showed up early knows that I am drinking a Dale's Pale Ale from Oskar Blues, Brevard, North Carolina, sponsor of Junior Motorsports. Happy to drink this tasty beverage.
Yes, sir. I've got the,
What do you have? You
can probably hear it in my voice that I've got a little bit of a sinus thing going on. Feel fine otherwise, but if you hear me sniffling or coughing or hacking up a lung, that's where Rusty's going to be today. But, hey, the show must go on.
It very much must.
I'm drinking a Sweetwater 420, local boys here in the PTM Podcast.
Very similar beer to what I'm drinking.
Yep. Cheers right there. And when are they going to get into NASCAR, man?
Sweetwater?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a good question. Atlanta Speedway needs to do some work with them.
Yeah. So,
did you hear that they're fixing to open a brewery in, Arkansas?
Wow.
Not even, no joking. This
That's
isn't me
real.
goofing off. Sweetwater is opening Sweetwater West in Arkansas.
Well, that's cool as crap. Good for them. Well, before we get onto it, I'm gonna just kind of hang this out just a little longer and talk about the 86 car. It's PTM 86.
Oh, car number.
We've got the 86, car number 86.
Show number, car number.
So here's the crazy part. All the people who raced in the 86 car that are in the top leaderboard there also raced other car numbers like
False.
The 87.
Is that true?
Yeah. As it turns out.
Man's holding up some fingers.
Yeah, true or false?
True?
So I'm not going to go too deep into these because we're about to get to some on 87, 88. Once we get past the hundreds, and 06 is in there that's real heavy. So I'm just going to name a few off without going too deep. Neil Castles. Mr. Neil Castles ran 95 races in the 86 car. He ran 240-something races in a car coming up, so we'll talk about him.
Well.
Yeah, right? Buck Baker, 38 races in the 86 car. And guess who? His son, Buddy Baker, 43 races in the 86 car. Isn't that cool?
Wow, and he did 8,600 races on the microphone in the booth.
Yep. And
great voice.
Buck Baker had a win in the 86 car. That's the only win in the 86 car, so at least we weren't dry on tonight's show for races one there. Yeah,
it's been a long stretch in between, I don't know, let's say the 40s.
Yeah.
Through 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s, it's these numbers have not been popular numbers. I don't know if that's because they're hard to paint or what.
Yeah, those 8s take a lot of paint, man.
And for those that are relatively new, when I say relatively new, I mean if you started following within the last 40 episodes, you don't realize that we didn't figure out this segment until car number 41.
Yep.
So when we roll back around, we'll actually get like 43 more cars to talk about because of the 00, the 0, and then 1 through 41. So,
yeah. So there you go, folks. All right, y'all. It's time. It's time.
Is it time for the big announcement?
It's time for the big announcement. Y'all get your drinks ready and everything because this is going to be fun.
Two-hand this thing or something.
Yeah, right. So me and Sherwin and the PETM podcast have a sponsor.
Ruh-roh.
That's so our big announcement. And you want to know who this sponsor is, Sherwin. We've been contacted several times about what sort of sponsorship opportunity might happen. Now,
there's been several.
What's the problem with a lot of those sponsors, right?
Well, I think for us, it's creative license.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making sure that we can do the show exactly the way we want to do our show, so you guys get what you're used to, which we believe is some NASCAR content with a lot of humor thrown in.
Yeah.
And we goof around, and we're going to sling you other sports. Sometimes you're going to sit there and go, I don't give a damn about your soccer team, but we're going to talk about it regardless because this is a fan podcast. So we've been, what's the word?
Regular sponsor
loath
drops.
To get into an agreement with a sponsorship group because of that.
I don't think the people on Periscope have a clue what's going on. And I love it. I love this feeling right now.
No, and that's great.
Because we're getting a lot of congrats. Thank you for that, but hold off for a moment. Sherwin, how much do we want to charge for this show ever?
Nothing.
It's
always going to be free.
Zero. Yeah. This
forever and always.
Free. Forever and always free to the PTM Posse, to anybody who wants to join us and all that. So, it came down to who is going to let us do all that? Who do we have to answer to? And who can provide us that? And what do we want to do with the money? Like, I mean,
well, it's not going to be income.
We're not some $1,000.
We're employed, right?
Yeah, we're not some $1,000 a month kind of.
I mean, I've been frustrated with my employment, but that's kind of normal in the technical world to be a little frustrated.
Yep. So about 6 months ago, y'all, here it comes. Sherwin and I sat down and got to talking about all those things that we just talked about, and I said, you know what? There's a thing out there. There's a sponsor out there that can give us everything we want. And he said, who is that? And I said, Sherwin, they're already there. It's the PTM Posse.
It is.
Our sponsor.
Our sponsor is you.
As crazy as it is, our sponsor is you, y'all. We're going live with a Patreon account that we've set up about 6 months ago and have finally launching today ahead of the Daytona 500. We said we'd do it.
We've mulled over
right
this
now,
quite a bit.
And we've gone back and forth, y'all. If you go to patreon.com/PETM, we are launched. We are live right now. And once again, here's the thing. Who do we answer to, Sherwin?
The PETM Posse.
To the PETM Posse. Where does the money go?
It goes to sponsoring drivers.
Sponsoring drivers. Every cent that you give for this show is going to go straight into drivers' hands so that every week we can talk about who we're sponsoring, what's going on, what they're up to. Obviously, we have Kenny Smith that is somebody that we've sponsored, but this opens up a lot of opportunities for folks to jump on and join.
Here's the opportunity that it offers, and probably we took from a bunch of different accounts that we've been following and interacting with. Sponsored drivers is one. They're heavily engaged with Kenny and other drivers to attract sponsors. Now, what this does is saying, well, I don't know if I can, my $20 that I could potentially send somebody, I don't know what that does to actually make the race car go faster.
Yep.
Well, the really cool thing is if 20 of y'all do that, we can send $400 to a driver and help him go faster.
And this is going to be not
our concept.
It's not us. It's the PETM Posse, y'all. That's the coolest part about this whole thing.
And so the sponsorship badge will change.
Yep.
Well, as soon as anything comes in from Patreon, we'll solicit your opinion on who you think deserves the money from a sponsorship perspective. And the badging will change from the PETM podcast or the PETM Racing podcast. It'll change to #PETM Posse.
That's right. It's no longer PETM podcast on our stickers. This is PETM Posse, y'all. This is where the sponsorship is. We're so excited to do this. And so here's the deal, y'all. We're going to do this with some perks, too. Not only are you part of the PETM
You are going to
Posse,
get something.
but you get something for it. $1 a month. All right, y'all listen to this. $1 a month gets you into what we call the What You Drinking Club.
Right. And the What You Drinking Club comes
Needs something to drink out of, don't they?
with a really cool little koozie sleeve.
Yep. The official PTM podcast koozie comes your way at 25 cents an episode, a quarter an episode, $1 a month. You get the PTM Posse, PTM podcast koozie. $2 a month. $2 a month, we going to send you the sticker, too, to go along with it.
Yep.
We got
new
a new
sticker design in the works.
New sticker coming up. $5 a month. We're getting into the crazy, Sherwin.
That's a little. That's what, $60 a year.
Yeah, $1.25 an episode.
What, about 3 times what did it cost to be a member of the scanner broadcast for NASCAR.com?
Yep, something like that. At $5 a month, you're an official sponsor of the PTM podcast. Your name is mentioned every show. We're going to send you the show notes every week. We'll send it to you ahead of time, too. You'll be the first to hear any announcements that we have. You'll vote on the upcoming sponsorships. You're going to be all part of it. You are an official sponsor of the PTM podcast like that. That's our premium sponsorship, or that's our official sponsorship. We've got a few more at $10 a month, $20 a month. We're not going past $20 a month.
Gold, platinum, and diamond.
Yeah. I mean, that's diamond right there. $10 a month. Your name's going to be on the PTM Posse sticker. We will throw your name on there. There's 5 of those that are available. $20 a month. Hey, $20 a month, y'all. If you're crazy enough to do something like that, guess what? You're coming on the show with us.
Absolutely. You're coming on. Not only are you coming on the show, but here's the thing, and here's the thing we'll promise you going forward is that should we attract attention outside of our current barrel curve that we don't have vision to, what you start as is what you'll always be until you change your contribution level.
Yep.
So as we regrade over time, as we attract more attention that we expect to attract, and we will regrade some of these things in terms of a dollar contribution. Whatever you start as, you never have to upgrade. You never have to spend more.
That's right. So here's the deal, guys. We won't go too much far into it. We got so much to talk about tonight, but from here on in, the PTM podcast is sponsored by you. And that sponsorship, go to patreon.com/PETM. If you cannot afford to do it, just listen to the show, guys.
And if there's any skepticism,
always free.
Yeah, and the show will always be free, both in this format as well as iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, you name it. It's always going to be there. You're not going to ever have to pay to get an episode of PETM. And for anybody that's skeptical about what that money would potentially be used for, like it's natural to be skeptical of some of these charities that you see out there, particularly Susan G. Komen. Well, was that a shot? My bad.
It might have been a shot.
It might have been a shot. But what we'll say is, like, we'll have a balance sheet that'll show what everybody's contributed that's actually produced by the site that we will snapshot and show you. So you will know. Right. Like, there's no hidden money. We're not putting dollars in our pocket here. The whole point of this is, if you really love racing, you love this, and you're entertained by what we're doing, we want to take some contribution of money, because we sponsored Kenny Smith. We're not going to tell you what the sponsorship level is in terms of a dollar commitment, because it doesn't make sense to do that, but neither for us or them. But if we could pool dollars, then we can sponsor more race car drivers.
There's no ceiling.
And everybody wins in that respect.
Spreadsheets. I love it. Well, thank you all, PTM Posse. We can't thank you enough. Patreon.com/PETM. And that's a sponsorship. That's our big news, dude.
That was our big announcement.
That's 6 months in the making.
We were afraid.
As crazy as that is.
We wanted to build some momentum. We felt like we did that in the off season, and we didn't want to have somebody to have to be waiting on the phone to hear us say that. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you hear their voice, it's like they've endorsed it without their permission.
Yep.
So that's why no guests this week.
That's right.
And we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and get this out there in case anybody wants to drop off early. We're actually recording next week's episode from the Dawsonville Pool Room in Dawsonville, Georgia.
Holy crap.
And that is one of the most unique things we've had an opportunity to do yet. And we are so excited. Like, I'm going to start shaking here in a minute and getting goosebumps. But that's happening next week. It's either going to be Monday or Tuesday. I don't know yet. Work travel is being a turd right now for me. I don't know about for Rusty. We hadn't had a chance to talk about it. But early in the week is better than later. And then obviously we got Atlanta Motor Speedway right after that, so it makes sense for the timing. But we got a whole slate of news and Daytona stuff to talk about.
We're not slowing down at all.
Y'all are better go get another beer. You probably already finished with your first one.
So, okay, guys, moving on. The breaking news today, and I mean, Sherman, I don't feel like we crap on the ownership. I mean, we'll crack jokes here and there, but we don't really crap on the ownership of NASCAR. I don't believe we've done that on this podcast.
I've been critical as a human being,
as a fan
of NASCAR. I've been critical of Brian France, but I think one of the things that we discovered early on in recording this podcast and then getting people to pay attention to what we're doing, thank you very much, is like, hey man, you can't. It can't be negative all the time. It can't. It just can't. So you have to find a positive spin every chance you get.
Yep.
Which we have done a pretty good job of. I think as a fan, I've always known what Brian France is. I think there's some vindication in what we saw today. However, what I would say is being right isn't always fun. No.
So out in the Wall Street Journal article comes out, evidently Brian France hasn't owned, according to this article, we'll sort of throw out those things, but according to this article, hasn't owned a stake in NASCAR in a decade. Sold it off to his sister, and so he's a
at
CEO.
Its peak value.
Yeah,
he sold it to a family member. There's got to be some conflict.
So
of
he's
interest there.
The CEO of the corporation, but he reports to his uncle and his sister. And a very weird circumstance there, very weird thing, and like you said, a little bit of unwanted vindication in that. Hey, this guy is running the show here, and he doesn't really have a stake in it. And drivers, especially, you hear like Tony Stewart, Brad Keselowski says some stuff, but they're like, the guy's not really showing, or they would say, I wish he showed up at more races. I wish he was more involved. I wish he would have come to this Vegas thing that we had last year with all the teams and Racing Alliance and all that sort of stuff.
The things that he misses makes you wonder what he's doing that's more important to him.
That's poignant.
Like, okay, you are the CEO of NASCAR and you didn't go to your event this week.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell did you do?
Yeah. What were you doing? So that's tough, and I think there's going to be more fallout from this as the weeks go on. Jeff Gluck wrote an article, an incredible article.
Summarized what was in behind the paywall on Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
Which is enough for me. I'm not going to subscribe to Wall Street Journal when Jeff's going to summarize
the free number of issues or whatever it is.
I think if you sign up, I just didn't have, there was too much stuff going on today for me to sign up. But it's like, hey, man, that's pretty scathing. All those things. I mean, we can go through them. We might as well.
Yeah.
You already said hadn't owned shares in NASCAR since, 2007, 2006, maybe 2004. We're not really sure.
2007 or so, they said. Yeah.
He works for his sister and his uncle, Lisa and Jim. He's basically unfireable from that perspective, but he has no financial commitment or tie-in beyond salary.
There were two things that totally caught me off guard. One was the announcement, and we showed our support for this, but the announcement that they weren't going to allow Confederate flags at the racetracks anymore. His sister was unaware that was an announcement. They had to do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff to
because it started at Daytona.
Yep.
And that's one of the tracks she manages.
Yep. The other one was when we did our whole We Don't Talk Politics show, but it was more about is it the right move for the NASCAR CEO?
Is it a smart move?
Is it a smart move for the NASCAR CEO to be pulling for one person or another? And apparently his sister didn't find out until she watched the news.
She's watching television. He's like, this is what I'm doing. He's in Valdosta, Georgia with Bill and Chase Elliott, and they're talking about supporting one candidate or another. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to us that they're supporting a candidate. What matters is it doesn't seem like a smart business move for the leader of a sport to support a particular candidate.
Right. And so what can you say, man? I think this is the beginning of there's been a snowball, and I think the snowball has just reached mass peak size.
Oh, yeah, it's like terminal velocity and mass or whatever.
This thing's fixing to start rolling down this hill. And I feel like there's a lot more to come out of this. There's a lot of questions that people are going to have. And props, by the way, to the NASCAR media for doing what media is supposed to do in this circumstance, which is dig. Get in there, start talking to people, start figuring out what's going on.
What in the
write
world?
up stuff, yeah, and start asking questions. So big stuff there. So, phew, boy, a lot of like heavy stuff this week. Marty McFly, heavy.
Yeah, Marty McFly. Speaking of, and I got this way down the list, but you already made the perfect segue to it, so I'm just going to do it. All right. The reason why we got into podcasting, as we've mentioned many times, is we started listening to Marty and McGee talk about racing. They're two ESPN guys. If you haven't listened to them, they published a new episode yesterday that was basically all about remembering February 18th, 2001, which is the day that the Daytona 500 was run in 2001. It was also the day that Dale Earnhardt Sr. died. Mm-hmm. And it was really neat to hear them talk about their relationship with Dale Earnhardt starting in the mid-'90s when they were both snot-nosed college graduates and getting into NASCAR until right up into the moment, and how they felt about it and how they had to interact with their people. And Marty talking about telling his wife, like knocking on the window, she's barefoot reading a book in the car waiting for him, ready to go to the airport, and he's like, we're going to be here a minute.
Yeah.
You know, and so I thank both of them from my podcast handle for doing that. But it has a lot there's a lot of sentimentality for me, because I don't think I would be a NASCAR fan if that wasn't the result of that race, because my college roommate, one of the college roommates I had before you and I had occasion to meet and become best friends from college and roommates and all that stuff, said, hey, man, as much as you like Days of Thunder and racing, and whatnot, like you redneck and this, that, and the other, why don't we just watch one of these races? And Daytona 500's coming up. Hell, let's just park in front of this thing, have a couple cold beers, and watch the race.
Yep.
Well, and then something, like transcending of generations happens. The way Marty Smith said it is, he said it more perfect than anybody could say it, so I'm just going to quote him and attribute it to him. Superman is not supposed to die. Mm-hmm. And I've got goosebumps for days.
Just saying that, yep.
Superman is not supposed to die. And that's what happened in NASCAR on February 18th, 2001.
Yep. Sherwin, I've got an announcement.
Can you please let everyone know what your announcement is?
Steve Jr. III is an official sponsor of the PTM podcast, sir.
Man, that guy's a badass. He's been all over the Twitter having fun. He's been on the Facebook. He's been kicking as much ass as you want anybody in the PETM Posse to kick. So that is great news to hear.
That's awesome. And Ken Goose, I think the first two people, $2 pledge by Ken Goose. Thank you so much for that. This is so cool, y'all. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it and how much we are excited
and can't wait to push it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on. Front row of the the whole
who's on
news,
the front row of the Daytona 500?
Well, so the whole news was, and I love what Jeff Gluck posts. I keep talking about Jeff Gluck, but he's been on fire lately.
Dude,
y'all.
Jeff Gluck's rules. Like, we're following his model the best we can.
Yeah, right. By the way, in the PTM podcast was one of the first two. I'm not sure if we were the first or the second, but when he came out with his Patreon, I'd already created the account and everything.
Well, we laughed a little bit because we're like, well, Jeff Gluck, who has 150,000 followers or whatever on Twitter, just beat us to the punch. But, I mean, obviously we're doing a different thing in a different space for the most part. Now, we've had him on, and he's agreed to come back on, by the way. You're going to hear Jeff Gluck on our show here within the next
few weeks.
I would say 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
He's
he wrote a tweet that said, which of the Fords do you think are going to have the pole?
I laughed.
I laughed too.
I wanted to participate, and then I decided, you know what? I'm going to watch what everybody else does.
Uh-huh.
Because as everybody that's watching now probably knows, I was super participating on Twitter all weekend, just trying to capitalize on all the people that were excited about Daytona. Let's do it. Let's talk about the races. Let's talk about everything, and we had all that momentum built for Saturday evening, and then which happens sometimes.
Yep.
And
Yep. So what ended up happening? All Hendrick, front row for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Daytona 500, sir.
Not only that, but think about this. That's Chase's. So Chase is in his sophomore season, and he's won back-to-back Daytona 500 poles.
This time last year. Oh, go ahead.
But yeah, you're right. There's more. You see it. You saw it in my eyes. You're letting me have the floor still.
Yep.
The 24 team has won 3 Daytona 500 poles in a row.
Yeah. So this time last year, we were talking conspiracies. Not in terms of that I believe it, but just how coincidental, how weird is it that our last think about the last 4? We've had Chase Elliott twice. We've had Jeff Gordon in his curtain call year. We've had Danica Patrick.
And Austin Dillon in 3.
Austin Dillon in the 3.
So the conspiracy theory stuff is kind of like...
It's intriguing.
It's not even weird. It's just like, okay, I get it. If we have to talk about that a little bit, we probably should. Because NASCAR has got a lot of what they wanted out of that in terms of attention. You know, Danica Patrick, first female to ever win a pole at Daytona 500. The number 3 is back in NASCAR for the first time in, 15 years?
Yep.
And 14 years, Austin Dillon wins the pole. It's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott's son, first pole qualifying, wins the pole.
I don't know where to stand on this because I don't believe that people are not mashing the gas harder or that teams are – it takes 40 – well, I mean, if you're talking honestly, it takes probably 20 teams to collude on this, if that's a word, if I'm using the right word.
No, you're using the right word. That's why conspiracies are total BS now because you have to have like it. I had a great conversation with one of our buddies we interact with all the time on the old Twitter, but it's like that old mob theory of 3 people can keep a secret, 2 of them are dead. Well, when 100 people know the secret, 99 of them need to be dead, and that's real hard to do.
Yeah. So I'll just chalk it up to strange, crazy coincidence. It's a Daytona 500. It's plate racing. Speaking of plate racing, we had a hell of a plate race this last weekend, and I even posted on Twitter. I said that was a great plate race. I do not say that often.
Yeah, I wish I'd have seen that because I would have echoed your sentiments. Yeah, I mean, we know we have to wait around till the last lap to see what's going to happen anyway. The fact that the big move came in turn 2 or 1 and 2 in the middle of 1 and 2 is a little bit different for NASCAR lately, and that there was some compelling things that happened after that. Number one, first and foremost, you guys probably know I'm not a huge Denny Hamlin fan.
Yep.
The fact that car finished the race after however many things he hit.
He's a wheelman.
Dude has got a strong car control.
Yeah.
Like, give him credit. What you would say is, though, you'd hope for he and his spotter that they would have a little bit better communication on how fast Brad's run was.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Brad's run was so fast, there's nothing you could have done about it anyway. Like, kind of like,
what are you going to do?
You think you're
second?
getting you think you're getting a slider, or you think you're getting a curveball, but you get a slider. So, like, you see the hand movement, you see the arc, but it comes in 20 miles an hour faster. It's like, whoa, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Ha!
Strike.
I mean, Junior talked about on his podcast, the Dale Jr. Download, he's like, I don't think Denny realized how fast Brad was coming. And then he was like, and by the way, Brad, he's turned into a pretty good little plate racer.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, he might be the best out there right now.
Well, and right next to him sits Denny Hamlin.
And Denny is, if you look at average finish, Brad and Denny are kicking a lot of tail.
Yep.
And Joey's kind of just back there going, hey, remember when I won the 500? And I'm
right
over here.
And I heard a crazy stat that couldn't be true, which was that Austin Dillon is number 1 on average finish in plate racing in the last, I don't remember the number of races.
Probably just 5 or 6 or whatever. But
yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. And Junior is the best starter in the last however many. And that's at Daytona. He's like 5.8 career average start at Daytona, because they were talking about this is Dale Jr.'s 4th front row. The only pole he won, he actually wrecked in the duels.
Yeah.
And had to start in the back.
Yeah.
In a backup car. But, I mean, it's so much fun leading this race. Like, we we can get down and start talking about how plate racing, it leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of how much control you have over your own outcome. But we got to get through Daytona to get to the rest of the schedule. So I don't, if faster it can get here, the better for me.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So moving on. I mean, we've got the duels coming up. We got trucks. We've got Xfinity. We've got cars on the track, man. I'm just gonna shed a tear.
They're everywhere, man. It's so awesome. I saw some truck drivers that are talking about like, hey, we made it to Daytona because they're practicing tomorrow.
Holy crap. And not only that, but we said it over the offseason after talking with all these truck drivers and the folks that have been on the show and everything, and how excited we are to watch them on the track, how excited I think the PTM Posse is now that they've been able to hear these guys and what they're doing and getting ready and everything. To see them out on the track and getting some practice in and getting some laps in and talking about it on Twitter, man, I think I'm starting to feel what so many people feel as some of these media members and stuff, and we're never going to confuse ourselves with media, but although
we're fans,
certain amount of media, but being able to talk and hear these stories, hear these guys talk and what they've got to say, and then see those trucks on the track, holy crap! I'm super excited.
Well, I didn't even think about this, and we'll have tons of talk about leading into Atlanta, but the thing is, like we already said, we're going to be doing that, our first live show on a random location, so we won't have as much time to talk about just the fact that we're going to be able to see some guys that we had on the show that we've never actually seen in person. Like Jeff's got us lined up to go to the truck driver autograph session on Saturday morning. And we're going to get to see all these guys that were holding our sticker last year at Martinsville, thanks to Tony Tomahawk 47 up there in Ontario, Canada. We're going to get to meet some of those people.
Yep.
And say, hey, that was us. To get to do that's going to be really cool.
Sherwin, Miss Lori Sutton is going to be the first PTM Posse member on the new sticker.
Wow.
$10 a month from Lori Sutton. Holy cow, Lori.
I don't even know how to react to that.
I don't know how to say
I don't know what the appropriate reaction is other than I don't know how to be any more humble than I already am in terms of how much attention we get.
I hear you.
Lori, I sincere thank you. And you know what's going to happen is some race car driver is going to thank you going forward.
That's what's going to happen, dude. We're, just right now, $15 a month. That's going to sponsor a car and a half throughout the season.
Easily
throughout the season. So thank you again. I'm going to tear up, guys. Let's keep going. So
she's mowing the yard.
She's mowing the yard.
I love you, baby. Won't you miss a spot right over there? That's Bill Engvall. I stole it.
That's a great line from Engvall. What can I say? So you had a random sporting subject here. We're just all over the place tonight, y'all.
We have to be. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah. We've got some Ask PTM questions coming up. We promised a Daytona story last week, so we're gonna have to do.
We do have to finish.
Yeah, our 10-minute version.
Yeah, because we only told them up right up until we left the racetrack, and we got the rest of the story, which is y'all are probably gonna look down on us a little bit, but you're gonna laugh. I guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all might start.
You're gonna see what
drawing sponsorship.
What is so? That was 28 and 27-year-old, 28-year-old me, 27-year-old you.
Was I that old? I was hoping I'd be like 22.
Oh, sorry, no, 20. No, I had just turned 28, and you were like 26,
27. Yeah. Random sporting subject: Bob Huggins, the head
good God Almighty,
coach.
West Virginia Mountaineers, eat, spit, pit. They weren't even playing pit. That's their thing, though.
But he has a heart attack. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, he has a heart attack during the game last night, one night ago, Monday night.
Has a heart attack.
Has a heart attack, and then the story gets crazy. Sure,
it doesn't even get crazy. It goes to like Superman status.
Whoa, that wasn't in the show notes.
Oh my God, do we have to touch? I don't even know. All right, so here's the deal. Bob Huggins has had a history of heart health problems. He's 63 years old. He used to coach. Most everybody knew who he was or found out who he was when he was coaching Cincinnati because he got them to places that Cincinnati basketball will probably never get to again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went back to his home state of West Virginia, who's always had a really good reputation for basketball. They don't win it all, but they're always in the tournament one way or another. So anyway, dude's got heart health history. He actually has an internal defibrillator that is installed inside his body. It is attached to his heart.
Holy crap.
So,
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, I didn't either. So during the middle of this game, dude's heart stops beating. And the defibrillator kicks in, refires his heart, and he's like, he pumps his chest to like Shaka Smart coaching Texas over there, and the rest and says, man, I'm good.
I'm good.
Good. Coaches the rest of the game. Gets evaluated at halftime to make sure he's not in like deep shit with his health, but like coaches the rest of the game. Like he's got a defibrillator, y'all. That's the thing you saw on like ER for 10 or 15
Clear.
years. They put the little gel on so nobody gets static shocked, and then bam.
Yeah.
And then like the body goes gadoosh, and then the heart starts beating again. Hopefully,
you remember those old SNL skits with the Bears and the Bulls and all that, and every once in a while they would like beat their chest a couple times and they go heart attack.
Heart attack. Chicken and carrot, I want to go. Heart attack. Yeah, like that was the physical defibrillator.
Oh, my goodness. That's
holy
awesome
crap.
that we have that technology.
Awesome that we have that technology, and how badass is Bob Huggins?
Badass of
heart attack
the
in the
day.
chair and says,
Of the
I'm
month.
good. I'm just going to keep coaching.
Yeah.
I'm trying to beat Texas. Here.
Heart attack.
Hey, Shaka. Look, dude, I'm trying to win, man.
Yeah.
No
Drink your beer.
offense to you, brother, but I'm trying to win.
Drink your beer. Here's some crazy news that happened, too. J-Ski is now fully integrated with ESPN.com, and I will say this. Understandably, NASCAR fans lost their minds about this.
Some of them did. Some of them absolutely lost their flipping minds.
If you're going to go on a cussing tirade and you're going to be, I shouldn't say negative, but because I'm a little bit negative about it, but if you're going to be unproductively negative about it, that's one thing. To be a troll. But
yeah, that's a troll. That's the definition of a troll.
But what's hard for me is, I went to jski.com. Of course, it forwards right over to ESPN, and I'm going, where do I need to learn now, relearn. Where do I find all the stuff? Because if y'all don't,
the countdown was on the front page. I think that was probably the coolest thing about J-Ski was countdown to the Cup race was on the front page,
and it was just in text, and it would tell you here's when green flag
red
is.
Digital letters. It was like 21 hours, 7 minutes, and 48 seconds.
And for me, it was a text. Always reading that text, it said, okay, here's when this starts. Here's what network it's on. Here's when green flag drops. Here's the drivers you need to pay attention to. Here's who won the last race. Here's who won that. It's like, holy crap, this is all the information that I need going into a race. So you just fire up jski.com, boom, you got everything you need to sort of pre-race yourself and not have to watch 4 hours of pre-race. But I miss that, and I need to find a place where that exists now. So I don't know what to say. Pretty crazy there.
I think you're going to be able to get that. It's just one more click, which is and I think.
Well, here's hoping.
So I think whatever the entity is that had previously hosted J-Ski with ESPN support, probably realized that they weren't either capable anymore, or the whole fact that most people are on their tablets or their phones, and the J-Ski format was really challenging on the phone and the tablet, especially the phone because it's such a small screen. You had to zoom in, move it around, click on the link, and do that like multiple times. Now they got ESPN's format, which is a single format for both desktop and mobile device. So it should automatically. Yeah. So as soon as you figure out where was that information I used to get, where did they put it? As soon as you figure out how to push that button, JC's going to be back to being just as useful it was before.
Yeah. So here's hoping. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, let's see here. Where to go to next? Daytona
100%.
Story. 100%. Everybody drink. Daytona story. We promised it y'all last week. We might as well get into it here. We got about
ice.
We'll give ourselves about 10 minutes to tell
Warm up
this story, and hopefully it works out for y'all. But so here's from my perspective what happened. This was for the duels.
Oh, hell.
In
Oh, my God.
2007 or so. Was it 07?
No, it was 09.
09.
It was February of 09.
February 09. I get a phone call from Sherwin, who was living in Valdosta, Georgia. That's about 3.5, 4 hours south of Atlanta.
230 miles.
And ask the man how he knows.
Interstate whole way.
Yep. Which is about, 2 to 3 hours from Daytona, right? Maybe 3 hours from Daytona?
It's a solid 3.
So the race is on, Saturday night, and I get a call from Sherwin at 9 p.m., He calls me, and we don't call, we don't call each other.
No, we never call. Not even when we had to text on the stupid the button phone.
Button hit thing. And I get a call from Sherwin. Sherwin, what's up? What's going on? And he says, dude, I just got box seats in the UPS box for the duels tomorrow night.
Yeah, so, and we, extensively shared that story with y'all last week.
Mm-hmm.
But we ran out of time.
Yep.
So we have to figure. That's how it all started.
Yep. That's a start.
So
I check with the old lady right quick, and then I pull the phone back in my face. Sherwin, I'll be there tomorrow morning. I'm leaving. What did we say? I said I'd leave at 10 a.m.
I think you said you'd be there by 2, and I was like, cool. And then you texted me at 8:30 a.m.
I couldn't sleep.
And you were like, I left an hour ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, crap. I'm in bed.
Yeah. So then Sherwin starts looking up. He gets us a hotel. The hotel's got it's right near the track. This is before Uber, so we had to figure out,
there was no Uber in
situation
2009, not in Daytona Beach.
But then we
didn't have any. You may have had a smartphone. I didn't. I think we said in the last episode, neither one of us, but
I may have. There's no time.
I don't know either.
So,
I know I had a freaking flip phone that's like the size of this mouse. You see that? My phone was smaller than that when it was closed.
I think I was flip phone for another 4 months.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get to Daytona. Sherwin's got the hotel room all set up. Turns out hotel room has a bar on the bottom floor. Turns out bar on the bottom floor has got karaoke.
Hell yeah.
The night of the race. I believe we talked about how much beer we drank and everything, and how they presented us.
When did the liquor start? We already talked about how we drank the UPS
drank
booth
the
out
UPS
of beer. Flat out of beer.
Came back. So now we've drank an entire booth's worth of beer. We get back.
You and I drank more beer
bar.
than everybody else in the booth combined. I'm pretty sure if you added it up correctly.
Yep. And so we end up back at the karaoke bar. We start throwing our name in the hat for karaoke, and ended up doing karaoke. We order these nachos. We might have talked about the nachos last time, too.
We did. We talked about them.
Had jalapeno poppers on the nachos, y'all.
The cherry on the top of the most gigantic plate of nachos I've ever seen in my life was 3 jalapeno poppers.
So it's time to go to bed, or at least go upstairs. Not
go upstairs.
Yeah, it's time to go upstairs.
Better.
So we asked the fellow there and said, hey, can we take some drinks upstairs with us? And he said, oh, yeah, no problem. And he pours us in a glass, pours us drinks.
Like a rocks glass, just like this.
Rocks glass. Pours us 2 drinks. We pay the man. We walk upstairs with him. Things start getting a little hazy, y'all. So
I think I had a beer in one hand and the drink in the other.
So here's what happened.
I'm convinced of it.
I know I finished my drink.
I know that too.
Because
there's going to be
the next thing that happened after I finished my drink, we were on the 4th floor, and we had a balcony.
Top floor. The
top
was
floor.
The top.
Yep. And we had a balcony. And somehow my glass ended up on the first floor.
Did you drop it?
Very quickly.
It
must have.
I think you dropped it, but you may have thrown a fastball directly at the ground.
I spiked it like Rob Gronkowski.
Gronked a glass, rocks glass.
I spiked this rocks glass into orbit, y'all.
It shattered into 75,000
billion pieces. We laughed.
And I don't know that I've ever laughed that hard since then.
Well, we were laughing so hard that the next thing that happens is Sherwin picks up one of the chairs. These are those plastic,
those white chairs stacked.
Yeah.
And
this thing has been sitting out in the sun forever, so it's just
clearly,
yeah. So it's just hard plastic baked into it. That glass hits the ground. We're laughing so hard. Next thing I know, Sherwin hurls one of these chairs over the balcony. And it, too, shatters into a billion pieces on the ground, y'all. This plastic chair. Thinking about it now.
That was so funny.
That might have been.
Expected the chair to maybe
Maybe
one of the
bounce
legs to
or
break
something.
off. No, it shattered like it was also made of glass. Freaking billion pieces.
Well, the cherry on top of the story is we wake up the next morning, and turns out Sherwin's drink is, you know what meniscus means? It means like when you fill a glass up, but you can fill it up just slightly more than the top.
Surface tension of water is so high that it can actually be taller than the glass.
Right. So Sherwin had successfully, when we said, can we take a drink upstairs, Sherwin took a drink upstairs. He moved a drink up 4 floors.
I took an entire beverage.
Next morning.
Didn't even breathe it. Just didn't even smell it.
Next morning, we wake up to a full drink and a lot of shrapnel on the ground below us. We checked out of that thing and hit Valdosta, and I hit Atlanta. Ain't never been back to Daytona since then, brother.
No. We have not been back since. And
so maybe they'll let us back. Maybe they won't now that this story
tell that
gets
story without just crying, laughing. Because it was so funny, y'all. And I know it was destructive. We're not normally destructive. We create a lot of funny with some of the stuff that happens when we go to racetracks, but we usually don't tear anything up. But that, oh my God, that was funny.
That was outrageous. All right,
I need to have a sip of whiskey.
Get you some. All right, y'all. Here's the deal. We got some questions from y'all. Mick Rose, who, by the way, Sherwin, Mick Rose is an official sponsor of the PETM podcast.
I'm gonna cry for the other.
I don't know what to say. And we got another one coming up. Hold on, hold your horses. But Mick Rose at GoDucks42_Mick says, now that a pit penalty will almost guarantee you won't get points in a stage, you see teams taking extra precautions to prevent pit penalties. That's like try to say that 3 times.
So
fast.
that's on. Yeah, no kidding. That's a tongue twister there. But
yep.
It's like almost like a seesaw situation. I would say yes and no. I say yes because it would be a huge deal if you fouled up a pit stop and you were second and you were going to get 9 points. And so maybe you're a little more cautious. But the way these guys have been doing pit stops, they don't seem to take that into play. I need to try to do the fastest pit stop I can every time, no matter the circumstance. They don't ever seem to take that, take a deep breath. We don't need an 11.7 second stop. We only need a 12.9 second stop. They don't seem to do that.
Yep.
And I think that's because go hard is the only way to go when you're trying to do things that fast and that ridiculous and at that level of competition. So I would say, Mick, from pregame engineer Sherwin's perspective, I would say, as much as that makes sense, no, I don't expect them to change the way they do pit stops.
I don't expect them to change the way they do pit stops, but I expect something. And I don't know what something is yet because I'm not one of the...
I think it's going to be the timing of when you actually come in.
Yeah. There could be timing stuff. There's a lot of different stuff. Maybe you don't come in when everybody comes in. Maybe you try to space yourself out a little more. I don't. I mean, obviously on cautions you're coming in, but or maybe you do come with everybody. I don't know. I think there's some things that they might think about. Denny Hamlin needs to let off the gas a little bit when he's coming in this year.
What he set? He set some kind of colossal record for speeding penalties.
yeah, exactly.
You had to throw out the first year they had them, which was 1989 or something, because after the Ricky Rudd crew and Bill Elliott spin and all that stuff. So there was a time they didn't have pit road speeding limits, but since they've had it, Denny Hamlin set the modern record for sure.
Yep.
With 11 or 12 or something. It was outrageous how many times he got busted speeding.
Yeah.
I don't think, and this is we shouldn't compare these guys as drivers because they're in different brackets in terms of career performance, but I don't think Casey's had 11 pit road speeding penalties in his career.
Well, maybe he needs to run a little harder and try to.
Well, maybe.
Next question
Perhaps.
from Rec at XRecX. And thank you for the question, Mr. Rec. Can you please discuss the noise around the Monster Energy girls?
I paraphrased his question a little bit. It was a topic versus being a question, but Ask PETM, we kind of just got to do the question thing. The Rec guys, this is actually, when he's paying attention, he's in IT somewhere or another. I don't know if he's a teacher or if he's in a class, and he can, or she, I guess, I don't really know for sure, can tell us exactly what that deal is, but he's got 4 or 5 people that are watching when they're watching. Like, they're watching together when they watch, because it's like an IT class or something. I'm not sure. Something related to IT, which I'm too stupid to articulate at this time, obviously.
We need Jeffrey Whitler. He's
what I would say about and so I reached out. I saw a bunch of backlash. No, actually, you know what? That's a blatant lie. I saw very little backlash. What I saw was people saying they had seen backlash. And so I started asking the ladies that, we pay attention to, the Suzettes and the Brendas and, the Meggies and the Batmans and Ashley and all those folks. And I was like, is this really bothersome to you, the way the Monster Girls are being portrayed and and they're like, hell no, those bitches look hot and tough. And I'd probably use that word out of context there and not appropriately, but I mean that was the general expression I got, was those ladies look tough, they look great, and they look awesome.
Yep.
So great and awesome, and it's a good representative. I think they all said, boy, wouldn't it be great if Danica won a race and there was some really hot looking dudes dressed similarly in victory lane. I was like, hell yeah, why
I'd
not?
love it. I'd love it. That'd be hilarious. Get the Chippendale guys out there. Let them, do their thing. I would have a blast.
Fly them in, teleport.
Yeah. Travis Campbell. Travis, thank you for the question. At Travis C_48. What would a Danica win do for NASCAR? Sherwin, I think we've actually talked about this one before.
I think we have, but I think we have a significant new group of followers that probably haven't heard us talk about it, because, I mean, in general, we're supportive of Danica.
Yep.
In general, we're supportive of the concept that a female having success in NASCAR would absolutely be good for NASCAR.
Yep.
Danica winning, especially if it was at a non-plate race where there can be no pickup sticks questions about it, would be so good. I don't think people realize how good it would be for the sport.
Imagine this. Everybody imagine right now, 2 to go. Danica is in the lead by 2 car lengths over Joey Logano at Martinsville or something crazy, and there's 2 to go. How on the edge? How crazy would that be? They come side by side to the finish. Danica edges it out. I mean, I'm talking about I'm off the roof. I'm going nuts.
What do you and how do you think the guys in the booth
NASCAR and to me? Oh my gosh, I would be. It would be insane.
It's bigger than it's a big enough what if to say it's a very challenging thing to discuss, because it would be such a big deal. It's hard to really know how big of a deal it would be until you actually see it happen.
Yep. So we're rooting for it. I want to see it happen. She's got the Fords of SHR now underneath her. So,
and I think she's got the pedigree. I really do.
Yep.
We know she has a team. I think she's got the pedigree. She's certainly. Oh my gosh! Did you see that? So sidebar, real quick. I didn't even put this in the notes, but did you see that thing with J.R. Smith? It was like NASCAR driver talks to NBA star. So y'all just go Google that. Danica Patrick and J.R. Smith. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. It's like 5 minutes of them like showing pictures of themselves when they were younger.
Oh, cool.
She's asking him about his tattoos. He's asking her about a picture when she was like in 9th grade. And, they're talking about, I got fined for this one time, and I got fined for this the other time. This is what happened. It was really fun. It was like NASCAR really needs to do more of that professional crossover where you have a chance to, like, J.R. Smith's audience is never going to see Danica Patrick outside of a 10-year-old FHM or Maxim magazine or Sports Illustrated. But now they're all going to watch that because it's J.R. Smith. They're going to see Danica, and they're like, you know what? She's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And she's super hot.
Well, there you go.
Race cars? Watch the Daytona 500? Why not?
That's right. I heard GT got beat just now. Oops. Well, we're no strangers to.
They were supposed to win. They were favored.
Yeah.
At home. Bummer.
Yeah, and that was probably a good bubble game too for us to be in the.
That was the bubble game.
Yeah. So we're no strangers to our favorite team losing on a big stage. So bummer there. But NASCAR Behind the Wall at NASCAR BTW, whose success is more critical? Love this question, by the way. Whose success is more critical for NASCAR in 2017? Driver number 88 or driver number 24?
24!
Woo, you think that's more critical success? Boy, that's a tough
Chase
question.
winning could save the sport overnight.
You think?
Yep. 100%.
Drink.
Drink.
I think Junior winning turns around a lot of things this season.
I think Junior winning the Daytona 500 to win his third Daytona 500 and his 28th race, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to talk anymore about whether Dale Jr. is going to make the NASCAR Hall of Fame if that happens.
I don't think we have to talk about that anyway, but
I don't think we do either, but there are people who are willing to be a-holes about it.
I think so. Here's what I'm going to go with: more critical for NASCAR in 2017. For NASCAR in 2017, coming off the bench, coming off the concussion stuff, and showing that they can come back. I'm saying Dale Jr. this year, and I'm saying the 24 for sure next year. So, but that's a great question, and if somebody argues against me, namely Andrew Sherwin sitting across from me,
your best friend.
Yeah, I think. I'm not going to argue against it, but that'll be my answer. Is 88 this year?
Yeah, no, I certainly don't want to belittle at all what Dale Jr. winning would be for the sport and how it would improve interaction, just like fan sport relations over the course of the next year. I think because Chase has such a long future ahead of him, that him going ahead and establishing himself as the next thing by winning not just one, but maybe 2, maybe 3 races this year, which is a lot to ask, but I think that would go a long way for people that are thinking about, Tony Stewart left the sport. He's done as a driver. Jeff Gordon left the sport. He's no longer a driver. Both are very much attached to the sport still, just not driving race cars. I don't think Junior is very long from making that same decision. I don't think he'll disappear from NASCAR ever. His Xfinity team is kicking a lot of butt.
Yep.
And he will be a part of that as long as it's rolling. I think he's got a huge future in TV. I think in order to establish that younger group of fans, that tail that we're missing right now, if you look at bell curve, we've got a truncated bell curve. We're missing, the 30 and under crowd at a significant level. Regardless of how many of those folks are actually listening to this podcast, that is a chunk of fans we are missing on average. And I think Chase winning has a better chance of filling that void than the 88.
Good point. Okay. That brings us right here to the end. Strange was staying. Before we get there, Sherwin, 42 underscore updates, $2 pledge. Antonio Williams, $2 pledge. I think we've already said Mick Rose, an official sponsor of the PTM podcast. Dude, the big dog in the house here, Mr. Jeffrey Whitler, just took one of the 3 spots for the $20 a month sponsorship, and he will be on the podcast.
Diamond.
Anyway, the Diamond member.
He'll be on podcast number 2 for next week.
Yes, sir.
Either whether we're from the campground or we're here in the studio, depending on the weather. Jeffrey is going to be our 3rd co-host.
Yeah.
For what is that? That's going to be PTM 88.
88 or so.
Perfect.
88.
We were just talking about Dale Jr.
Wow. When we get to the 88 number, how about that? Listen, dude, $46 a month in pledges right now, just in this show. $552 a month, that is, PTM Posse. Holy
There's going to be some race cars going faster.
Race cars are going to get going faster. Wait till y'all see what happens. I mean, I didn't expect us to get to this level for like months. And so for that to happen, it's unbelievable. I don't know what to say, and there's some folks going to be real happy to have this, and the PTM Posse is just unbelievable. Strange was staying, dude.
Yeah, we're going to spend so somebody brought up a great point. It might have been Jeffrey. We're going to spend 30 minutes of the next the show where Jeff joins us, PETM 88. We're going to have to spend 30 minutes talking about the car number. Because we're going to be talking about Darrell Waltrip, Dale Jarrett, and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
all the
we finally found a number.
No kidding.
They kicked some serious ass.
We're gonna have some numbers that can't be true.
Yeah, it's gonna be facts that can't be facts.
Yep.
Yeah, truths that can't be true. We're going to have that segment. It's going to be a part of the racing numbers, the car number segment that we really haven't. I mean,
Yep.
We do it every week. We really haven't given it a title. 100%. You damn right. That's the way the rednecks say it too. So cheers, Ashley.
And
100.
It's time for Strange with
And
Stain.
actually, you should put a T at the end because that's the way. Like y'all say 100, we say 100. There's a T back in there.
Ashley said. Ashley earlier made fun of me for the hanky here. So yeah. If,
he's
weren't
got
here
a
at the
leaky
beginning-
nose this week.
I've got something going on in the nose. You can probably hear it going on. But Strange with Staying, Ashley asked us, with all the liquids you and Rusty have in the PTM circle during taping, have y'all ever gotten mildly electrocuted or shocked from your mics or other nerd paraphernalia?
Okay, so I may or may not have let Ashley into some of our electricity issues we both had in the past. And this is where the podcast may go longer than we intended because I told her, I said, I think we both have some really funny stories around electricity.
Right.
That wouldn't necessarily be related to spilling beer here in the podcast, which I do. I seem to do every week.
Right.
But we both have funny stories, I think. Would you want to tell those now?
Let's wait till next week.
All right.
Let's do next week. We'll hold those off. Point is, neither me nor Sherwin have gotten electrocuted from the mics or other nerd paraphernalia, but we have both been struck by lightning.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So you should anxiously await us to tell the story how we both were independently struck by lightning.
Right. It's going to be great. Y'all, I don't know what to say. The response so far on Patreon has been unbelievable. I'm so happy about where we're at. So happy for the folks who are going to be on the receiving end of what's going on. I'm just beside myself. This is going to be so cool. This is all for the PTM Posse and all for the folks that were while chucking furniture off balconies. We're seeing comments. Y'all are the best. What can I say? Hey, go to patreon.com/PETM. Y'all join us. Y'all join the PTM Posse. Get your $1 a month, 25 cents an episode, gets you the What You Drinking Club PTM podcast koozie. And y'all have some fun with it. Y'all are the best.
Yeah, I mean, no kid, and just so you know, our guest queue, we not locked everybody into days, but our guest queue is Matt Weaver, Jeff Gluck, Corey Rockwell, who is an MLS soccer referee, Sydney Lett.
Sydney Lett's coming back.
Tommy Joe Martins.
Tommy Joe, always up in
there. So those are
Stay
that's
tuned.
the next
That's the point.
6 weeks.
Stay tuned, everybody. Y'all are the best. We love you. From the bottom of our hearts, we love you. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/PTM. You can find us at PTM Podcast, and I'm Tailgate Mayor at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm Andrew Sherwin. On Twitter, I'm Sherwin at PregameENG. Same for Instagram.
And we will talk to y'all next week. Thank you.
Thumbs up. Always. %.
100%.
Yeah, soccer. Hell yeah, soccer.